Boom, baby. What's up? What's up? The video just went on me. On me, cuz.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of DNM Drives with Nana and Kini. I actually just woke up.
Alright, let's get straight into it. It is late. It is 9:25 p.m.
It is Monday the 1st of November.
1st of November. Wake up, guys.
And
60 days, 9 weeks till 2021. Do you know that?
I know now.
Well, now you know. Let's go.
Alright guys, so this past weekend, Kini had an event. And had a real man brotherhood event.
Is it like camera? Is it like fix the camera? It looks like it's, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this past weekend we had an event with the brothers that I work with. You know, it was awesome. It was awesome. It wasn't a big group. It was the first event that we've had ever since lockdown and that, but you know, it was really good. So what's the topic of this video? What's the topic of this session, Nana?
Are you surrounded by how did we word it?
Do you have a safe place?
Oh yeah, sorry. Do you have a safe place? And the reason why I want to talk about this because I was really inspired. So I tagged along as cameraman to this event.
Yeah, kind of share the why behind this topic.
Yeah.
Let's get into that, because then you know, yeah.
Yeah. So you know, if you don't know, Kini works with brothers. He coaches them in losing weight, basically. And so he held his first event.
Yeah, so I work with dads. That have more than 30 kilos, 40 kilos to lose.
Yeah. And so he had his first event, and so you know, when you're grinding, you know, when it's the early stages of, you know, a startup business, you got to work with what you can. And so I was appointed cameraman for the event. And so I tagged along, and you know what? I was really inspired by the workshops and the just the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
To see like these men come together and like, you know, they're there. Like we started like 6:30 in the morning. Never met in person. You know, because you work online, you know, so you've only met virtually. So this was the first time meeting in person. And, you know, you went through like the physical part of the event, came up to like meditation, and then we had the workshops. And those workshops,
yeah, before we get into that, the whole purpose of this event, it's called an immersion. So an immersion, the word immersion, you know, I had to research it, but the word immersion is, it's like you're taking yourself through an experience where you're able to kind of break limitations in your life, you know what I mean? Like stories, excuses. For example, the brothers that we work with, like, you know, they're like, their story could be, I've tried to lose weight for many times, you know, I'm a dad, I work too many hours, I can't lose weight, right? So that's an excuse and a story they have. And so the whole purpose of this event was to take them through an immersion where they can see the potential, that they you know what, I could actually do this. They can see that there's a physical limitation they have, but because you've taken them through this process, they can see beyond it. And in a way, you're giving them hope. In a way, they're increasing their faith and their desire, and they're like, you know what, I can do this. So that was the whole purpose of the event. And so, like Nana said, there was a physical aspect where we trained them. You know, the whole concept of training them is to break them, like literally break them, and meaning to the point where they're complaining, I can't do this, why are we doing this, you know? And how do we get them beyond that, you know? And then the same thing, so we had the training for 2 hours, and then from there we meditated. So meditation for men.
Yeah, that was powerful.
Like, it's not an everyday thing that, you know, I think women do it every day, but like for men, we don't just sit down and hum, you know what I mean? It's not a normal thing to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, I've realized the importance of meditation, so we took them through meditation. And then also, from there, we did a workshop, 2-3 hour workshop where we sat down and we opened up. And I think what led that was me. I was just really vulnerable about where I was, about being over 200 kilos, how it affected me physically, mentally, emotionally, how it affected my self-confidence, how it affected my marriage, how it affected intimacy within a marriage, how it affected communication. I talked about addictions around food, around pornography, and I was real about it. And that opened up a space for the brothers to open up and share challenges they had. And then bang, game over. It wasn't really game over, but it was just like some of the brothers, or most of them, shared things that they probably haven't shared.
Yeah, they hadn't really shared to anyone.
To anyone, not even to their partners, you know?
Yeah. I was really inspired by that. I feel like as women, as females, like I feel like we do that naturally with each other. Like we can be open and vulnerable with like one another. I feel like, well, that's how I am anyway. Like I feel like I chase those kind of conversations where it's like just deep, just real conversations about
truthful conversations.
Like I love conversations like that. I love learning
but
about.
you want to have that in a space where you feel what?
Where you feel safe.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like that's what I chase, because I love learning about people and their experiences, and I just love like just raw and real conversations, you know. And so like I feel like I experienced that, but I feel to be in a circle, you know, well, I was out of the circle, but to witness men, grown men, in a circle, and where they're just like so vulnerable. Like it was that vulnerable and like that raw that I felt like I had to excuse myself from that space, because I was like, I didn't want to feel like I was intruding, or like, because I'm not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not part of that circle.
Yeah.
And so like I was really inspired by that, and it just got me thinking. I'm like, you know, what was it about that circle? What was it about that space that these men felt safe enough and brave enough to open up about like their personal struggles? And these were like deep struggles as well, you know. And you know, for me, when I look back on it, and you know, we did testimonials after, you know, it's about finding people who are on the same page as you, kind of finding people who are in a similar boat as you, finding people who are on a similar healing journey as you, same growth journey as you. And I felt like that you guys all have that thing in common.
Yeah.
You all have that struggle of like losing weight.
Yeah.
You know, in common. And you know, and that allowed for you guys to open up about like all this other stuff that have come as a consequence of that. Because the conversations that were being had didn't even like there wasn't even a mention about weight loss. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It was about all these other layers of like issues and problems that you guys had struggled with, were struggling with as a result from weight loss. But but it was just like, like it was powerful. Do you know what I mean? It was powerful, and I wasn't even in the conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it's like, you know, these conversations that need to be had are important, but they can't be had if you're not surrounded by people that you feel safe with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's so true. But, you know, and just so you guys know, like the process for me, when I'm working with these guys, when I'm working with brothers, like the brothers that were there, I work with, and it was my brothers too. So the guys that I work with, they've gone through, before they work with me. You have like a filter. There's a filter process, so they've got to fill out an application. Then we get on a Zoom call, and then it's kind of like I interview them, and then if
They're suitable.
if they're suitable applicant, then they you know, then they've got to meet the financially, so they've got to invest too. You know, so there's a process where I've filtered brothers out. You know, and some brothers, when they come into my world, they are committed. You know, there's a level of acceptance that they've had to come through. They've had to do an induction, like a 2-hour induction. They've had to.
It's like
There's
even
a criteria.
even when they do come in, they're not all the way in.
Yeah, they're not even all the way in. And to come in, you have to come in and stay in is a different level. So the boys have to log their meals in. They have to do their workouts every day. You know, they have to weigh in every week, live. You know, so there are checkpoints on a day-to-day basis. So these guys that I've been working with have been meeting those standards.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is they fit a certain criteria. Therefore, when we were there, for them, they knew who I was, but also they were all committed. Like what Nana's saying, they were all we're on the same journey. Some guys have 50 kilos, 40, 30, 20 kilos to lose, but they're all moving towards one destination. But the reason why I say that is because of that level of criteria, because of that filter, it's a safe place. It's not just anyone and everyone.
Yeah.
And I really believe that some brothers out there are just not ready for that, and that's okay. But you need to find people out there, and let's kind of bring it back. You know, the only reason why I'm sharing this to you guys in my event is to kind of bring it back to what Nana's going through with, you know, sexual abuse and speaking up, is because you need to find people out there that are willing to open, and to share these things, to be vulnerable.
And I think something that comes to mind is that phrase or quote or whatever is like, your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like whatever your standard is, whatever your goals and ambitions are, like you will naturally attract that same thing. Energy. Yeah, you would naturally attract that. Yeah. And so like, yeah, those And I
really felt like, you know, I'm not sure if any of your friends, but like I really feel like you're really going out, like you're really connecting with other women out there that are just, you know, so positive, you know, and I love that. I love that you're, you know, I love how you're meeting other women outside, and it's like, I know Nana, like Nana is like she doesn't go out there and, you know.
I don't put myself out.
Yeah, like socially, but I've really seen Nana really develop, and I've seen her build friendships with other women out there that have just, you know, like you've attracted other women. I don't want to say their name, but you know what I mean, like, and I'm really proud of that. I'm really, it's that in itself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's what we're talking about. Like, you attract that vibe and energy.
And I think like it's come with like healing in my journey.
Yeah.
It's like the more I heal, I think we kind of spoke about this last time. Like, as you evolve, your circles evolve, your spaces evolve. Do you know what I mean? And you start to attract new people who are going to help you in whatever phase you are of your journey.
Progress.
Yeah. So you know, like some people, like for yourself, right? So there are men out there who struggle with weight. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But when the brothers come to you, there are some who are just like not ready. Yeah. For what you have to offer them.
That's right.
Not now.
Not now. But one time.
But then
one
like
day.
But then one day it's like later on.
Yeah. Then I get a message or a DM and I'm like, someone's like, bro, I've been following you like these.
Yeah.
Let's do something. I'm like, cool.
And then they're ready. Yeah. But it comes down to like them and where they're at.
So how do you know how do you know? Because the whole point of this one is to find a safe place. How do you know if you found a safe place? How do you know if you found some friends that are safe and that are, you know, they're the right people for you to kind of vibe with to help you along this healing process?
I think you got to know for yourself like what it is that you want. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like for you, like you have a criteria that these men are meant to meet.
Yes.
If they don't meet it, like they don't get in. Like they might, like with getting into his program, like they have to come through this funnel, and it's like you might make a financial commitment, and you get like the induction, and then you might not even like, you might get that far, but if you don't complete it, like you don't even make it into the group, like you haven't even seen what the group looks like.
Yeah.
You haven't even seen what the program looks like yet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so like for that, like what you're trying to gauge from that, if they're committed and if they've gone through the induction process, then that means that they're committed to whatever you give them in the coaching program.
Yeah. So how do we relate that to you?
So I think for me, it's like,
Well, not to you, but to other women out there that are trying to find their healing
yeah, no,
place.
but I think for me, like I'm speaking from experience, I think for me, it's like, you know, I'm trying to find those who I can sit with and have conversations where we're talking about healing and growth. We're not talking about like, oh, that person's doing that and like they shouldn't do that, or like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like I'm not after those conversations. I'm after conversations that are like uplifting, that like where you come to me and you tell me, hey Nana, you know, you're like this or like that, maybe you need to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who will call me out but will help me.
You're more about self-development.
Yeah.
You're more about self-development than putting people down.
Yeah. So it's like,
And you can
I
engage
know
that. You can engage that from just a simple conversation. Yeah.
You can feel vibe, you can feel energy.
And then you're also all about self-development. So like, hey, I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to get better at this, and I'm trying to be more organized.
Yeah.
So
it's like if
you have that conversation, if you're having these conversations with other women out there or men, then that is kind of aligned with what you're trying to do, eh?
Yeah.
And what's
like
kind of opposite to that then?
Yeah, well, I guess if you're finding yourself worried too much about like the person next to you or the person that you see on your feed, or like, do you know what I mean? Then you're going to keep surrounding yourself with that kind of energy. But if you're working on yourself and you're conscious and intentional about like, you know, about healing, about breaking, about unlearning and relearning, if you're conscious about like
Improving,
you know, breaking certain patterns, you know, breaking generational trauma, if you're conscious and intentional about that, you will find people
that are doing that too.
Yeah, because your focus is there, like that is all you're going to see.
Yeah.
So you will only see those people who talk about that, who are about that, who live that, who are trying to achieve that. Do you know what I mean? So
That's I like that. I like you know, for the guys that I work with, like, you know, I say to them all the time, the only reason why you won't like me is if you don't want to improve. If you don't want to lose weight, you will not like me. Because you get sick of me telling you the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I challenge the guys. I'm always challenging. I'm challenging myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same. That's what I'm hearing from you. Those are the conversations you guys are having. And if you don't vibe with it, you know, then that's cool.
You're just like, So, yeah, guys.
And look, I do want to say, man, like, you know, like for these brothers out there, like, I'm so proud of them, man. Like, I love them, man. Like, it's a different relationship when you get a man to open up, and I'm very vocal where, you know, us men, it's not a normal thing. You know, I didn't do it with my dad. It's not a normal way of living. It's not a normal way that we brought up. It's not a...
Even just expressing love.
Just expressing, man, you know. For me, I'm very, like, I've come to be like that. I'm not really like that. But we kind of spoke about this before. If men are not opening up and sharing these things, guess what they do? They suppress it. They suppress it, and then they find temporary antidotes to these problems, and guess what comes about it? What comes about is addictions, pornography addictions, alcohol addictions, smoking addictions, drug addiction, gambling addiction, you know, and that's what comes about it, and then it becomes the tip of the iceberg. But the deeper issue is that they're just not having conversations. And we spoke about it before. When you have bad energy, you got to let it out. If you don't let that bad energy, it stays inside and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's why you gotta find people out there to help you heal.
Yeah, be open to it.
Even me. Even for myself.
Ew.
I know, sorry. Even for myself, it was a immersion for me.
Was it?
Yeah, because I was very vulnerable to them, vocally. And my brothers were there too. You know, so my brothers were there and they probably seen a different side to me, but I'm happy I did. You know, and it kind of felt a bit like, felt weird. Kind of like outside, it kind of just felt different because of my brothers. Yeah, it did. But
It's like it did, but it didn't.
it
hey?
didn't. Yeah.
And I think part of it too, because I was there,
Yeah.
and cameraman, you know, I think part of it too is because we've had that conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so like, yeah.
So wrap it up. What would to wrap this up? What would you say? 2 3 pointers.
Yeah, it's important to know like what you're looking for, like what is safe to you. Do you know what I mean? Like when you've experienced trauma, it's hard to like identify like what is safe, who is safe, how can you tell, like who can I trust? Yeah, so it's identifying like what for yourself, like what is safe.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. And then go out there and find people like that. It's either you find them, it's find them, and then you attract them.
Yeah.
But I think the reason why you've been able to attract them is because you've gone out there and you're sharing your journey.
Yeah, I think I'm like letting myself open like a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit there.
Yeah, I know, but you've started to blog and you were doing YouTube videos.
Yeah.
That's why you know. And so if you wanna find people out there, you gotta put yourself out there. Does that make sense? Like, how do you know if you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
Like if you don't put the light on you, the spotlight on you, and you share, you know, you're not gonna be able to attract them.
Yeah.
Because then you'll just be hidden in the dark.
Yeah.
So have the courage
Yeah, it's
to
like
put
step,
yourself out there.
like step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened in those workshops. Is like you asked them to share, and it was just like silence.
Silence.
And it was like someone just stepped out of their comfort zone and broke that silence. And it was like, and that like that sparked, like that courage sparked courage.
But look, you know, you might be thinking right now, like you have to do what Nana's doing now, do blogs and do videos.
Yeah,
I think
it's
what
not
I'm
even that.
yeah, I think just DMing someone. Like that's a way of putting yourself out there. Like even if you DM Nana, if you DM a friend or a sister, or you know someone that you trust, and just saying, hey, let's start this conversation.
Yeah.
You know, that's a way of
Have the
putting yourself.
conversation,
That's a way of putting yourself out there. Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
I'm so good at this. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. All right, guys. Much love.
Remember to comment, like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you next week.
Much love. Obrigado.
Bye.